Assalamu alaikum. Scientific laws govern our universe. For example, Newton's third law, 3 centuries ago, Isaac Newton formulated 3 remarkable laws, and even today those laws form the foundation of our physics. So it's worth considering that these were not only very interesting laws, but also extremely helpful ones. Isaac Newton formulated his first law, then the second law, and as a result of those, he developed the third law. So what was his third law? To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. This means that whenever any action is taken anywhere, there will be a reaction to it. If you grab a ball and throw it forcefully somewhere, there will be an equally strong reaction. If you throw it lightly, the reaction will also be light. If you throw it harder, it will go farther. In the same way, for example, just now we used 1 ball, but what if I use 2 balls? The reaction is equal to the action. If action is happening from both sides, then the action originating from one side naturally extends and flows to the other, and conversely the action from the other side reciprocates and comes back, thereby ensuring that both sides continuously engage in a dynamic process of action and reaction with each other. And if I were to demonstrate this with 2, you can apply some very interesting and quite powerful formulas here. I can certainly throw 2 distinct formulas from this particular point, or I can throw just 1 single formula from this specific location. So because of these inherent constants, carefully observe what precisely happens, 3 versus 2. All of this is the phenomenon of Newton's third law. When you perform an action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Throughout the universe, if you observe, everything is a reaction to something else. Some action occurred and its reaction followed. There is a reason we orbit the sun, a reason explosions happen in space. Every event is an action, and it has an equal reaction. This is Newton's third law. So this is one law, but there are many other laws that govern our universe. Laws can never be broken. It can never happen that I throw out 1 ball and 2 come out, or that I use 2 and only 1 comes out. The amount of force I apply will result in an equal reaction in the opposite direction. If I use 2 together, they will rise to the same height as the initial one did. This was Newton's third law. There are other such laws that govern the universe. What are those laws? There are many laws, but the major ones on which all of physics is based, one of them is the law of universal gravitation. Gravity is a phenomenon we encounter many times in our daily lives. We see gravity when we drop something and it falls down. It never goes up unless we throw it, and even then, it comes back down. Our Earth pulls everything towards itself. This is the law of universal gravitation. Our Earth is designed in such a way that we account for this. You must have noticed if there were no gravity, cars wouldn't need tires because we could just fly straight. Everything is designed in some way to account for gravity. There would be no need for airplanes if there were no gravity. What other things would we not need if there were no gravity? At first it seems life would be so easy without gravity, but if you think about it and reflect a bit, you'll realize that without it, we wouldn't be able to do many things. Another very interesting law is called the law of conservation of energy. This law is also interesting because it has led to major discoveries and forms the foundation of physics. It tells us that you cannot create energy from nothing. It only transfers. How does a person gain strength? By eating food, which is digested, all the chemicals are used, they enter the bloodstream, and then the person builds muscles from it. Do muscles just form on their own? No, something external comes in to build those muscles. So energy is transferred from food to the person, and then if that person pushes something, like if I push this table hard, the energy is transferred into the table. The law of conservation of energy says that we can never create energy out of thin air. We can only transfer it. So in this entire universe, the energy is always being transferred from one place to another. For example, we generate electricity from energy. We generate electricity from some source, like solar power or by building dams. So energy is being transferred everywhere. Energy keeps getting transferred. We cannot just pop energy out of nowhere. So there is an equilibrium, an equal amount of energy throughout the universe, which we just keep redistributing. There is also a very interesting law about this, which has been the subject of much research and has led to major discoveries. Anyway, with all these laws, it seems like, yes, we already knew all of this. It's just that we've put it into words now. But if you truly take the time to deeply consider it, you might also come to fully realize that all of these fundamental laws, and indeed the entirety of modern physics, have collectively and quite remarkably created a very strange, indeed almost bizarre, kind of universe. Meaning, all these laws together are what create everything we see around us. We would never be able to orbit around the sun. If there were no scientific laws, our galaxies wouldn't exist. If there were no scientific laws, for some reason, we are the architects of the sun. Other planets also do it for some reason, and the reason for that is some law. So there are so many such laws that are governing our entire universe. So in this world, whatever we do, how much of it is actually in our own hands? The thing to think about is, if I get a job, I get it for a reason. I get it for some reason. Maybe I met a friend of mine. I was sitting with him, and during our conversation I mentioned it, and I applied for that job and I got accepted for it. So why did I get accepted for the job? I talked to my friend, but why did I talk to my friend? Because I was sitting with him and we had coffee together. Why did that happen? I was hungry. Why did that happen? Because humans get hungry. Now this all connects and leads to another reason. Because I was hungry at that time, that's why I got that job. If I hadn't been hungry, I wouldn't have met that friend. And if I hadn't met that friend, he wouldn't have told me about that job. Now, if you look at this from the perspective of what science has studied in great detail, we find that whatever happens around us, our own role in it is very minimal, and the influence of these scientific laws is much greater. So, in the grand scheme of things, whatever endeavors we undertake, there is an exceedingly minuscule probability that our individual, isolated efforts will ultimately play a truly significant or decisive role in determining the ultimate trajectory of our successes or, conversely, our failures. These scientific laws are beyond our control, and they exist for us. Our lives can only be based on these scientific laws. Moving forward, we can take a closer look at how these scientific laws create various things in our universe, such as stars, galaxies, and black holes. So in the next episode, we will look in detail at how stars are formed and how scientific laws lead to star formation, and we will explore this in great detail. Until the next episode, I take my leave. Goodbye.